question.
Eliza.
You should ask her how she died.
Eliza, how did you die? I'm supposed to be asking her about her marriage.
Oh, well.
She just said it was successful. Earlier she said extraordinary.
So,
when he was talking about the house.
Oh, so she actually did like him, yeah.
And at one point, like when he was talking about her dad, it said medical.
Too, right? Not really, but...
How did you die?
So, this one's spiced.
Eliza, what's your maiden name?
A few spikes on this one had not enough. That's the highest.
It's like blurry.
So if something pops up like that, but I think it's grabbing the light.
Yeah. Those are people. Is it grabbing the light over there?
Are you here? How old were you when you got married? I do not think Eliza is here tonight.
Maybe Eliza doesn't want to answer any questions. Maybe she's tired.
Quite possible.
Like that?
Yeah, but I think you're...
I don't understand how this thing works. Like,
So, if vaccine... I asked her how she died. She died from the vaccine. That doesn't seem right.
how did she die from a vaccine?
I don't
How
know.
did you, like,
Do you need a vaccine?
it was like poison?
I said, when did you die? And she said 19.
19.
Ask her how she died.
Highway?
Highway accident?
Surely not.
When did you die?
Is this Eliza? If so, which Eliza is this? What's your maiden name? Oh, it probably doesn't know that word. Because he said it only knows 9,000 words.
What's your
Be near Caroline. Oh, she said she got a word.
What's your last name before you got married?
Go back.
There's no one there.
It's hitting the signs and giving them arms and legs, I think.
But what about that?
Eliza.
Where'd it go?
How old were you when you got married?
Caroline, ask her how she died. Ask her how she died.
You just gotta think about it.
Eliza, how did you die? Bad what? What was your maiden name? Eliza, what was your maiden name?
Yo, homie, Eliza, when did you die?
I think Eliza's right there.
That's totally not my mom.
It's astronomy, we're two worlds apart.
Lydia,
How'd you die?
Come. Oh, sorry. Look this way.
Yeah, it's spiked at 19 right there.
I got 19.
You got 19?
It said 19. It's fine.
All right, ladies.
Well, there's that.
Over here.
It says 4.
Caroline, there's that.
We're interested in what you put.
Oh, mine said 19 a while ago.
19.
Yeah.
Mine says 4.
Yeah. Well, remember, it is the interference I want you to do. So I want you to listen to the song, the chapter. So if it's a song that comes on, and you heard about
Eliza, how did you die?
whatever Axl Rose was singing. Obviously, Eliza's not going to know who Axl Rose is, but she's going to recognize it.
My heart.
My heart was broken.
So, Krista, have you figured out how to get to the whole word list yet?
Yeah.
So the little box to the right, under the number 4. What were you guys asking with that?
Did we ask? That's was all when you were talking about our wedding, and then we were asking her name. She said,
Okay. Did you ask anything about her children?
no. Did we ask something about our children? Oh, we did. We asked her if she had any children.
53. 53.4.
Oh.
As we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm going in the corner.
You're going what?
I'm going in the corner.
I'll go with you.
Yo,
I think she's in that corner though.
who was the pallbearer at your funeral? What year did you die?
To astronomy. Elijah, how did you die? Eliza, I repeat myself, how did you die?
Angie.
I don't think she likes that question.
Let's ask a new one.
How old were you when you died, Eliza? Whoa, 45.
You heard 45?
I don't even, I heard 40 something.
You heard 40 something?
Yeah. 43?
43? Husband?
Husband in this situation. Did you die at 43 years old, Eliza? She said the priest.
Eliza, how old when you died? What else do we have? Do we have anything?
We got husband again.
Okay.
And then we asked how old she was when she died, and she said 43. And we heard the 43.
She wasn't 43, but I gotta write it down so I can see if there's anything else going on.
We heard
How old
40.
was she when she died?
I didn't tell you yet.
Oh, we heard
Oh.
40 something.
I heard
before.
40 something.
Okay. I think I'm going to regroup us because, again, this is a space where there's a lot of vehicles. People get weirded out about us filming in here. So I'm going to regroup us over basically where the two ladies are, over by the wall. So if you guys want to start heading that way, I do want to follow up with the table one more time.
Do I need to stop recording?
Nope, keep it going until you get over there.
Okay. Was your marriage good?
No, we're not supposed to ask yes or no questions.
Oh, how
old
was
was
your
your-
marriage?
How old was your husband?
Remember we asked her how many kids she had? She said 4.
How many
said 4?
kids do you got?
And it's right.
It is?
Yeah.
She has 4? Did she ever answer actually how she died? Why'd she say eliminate?
I don't know. I was asking her
How many
about
kids
her
do you have?
kids.
Eliza, how did you die? Did she ever say her middle name? I mean, maiden name?
How many kids did you have?
Here. She has 4 kids. It's 2 worlds apart.
Anybody here ask me specifically about the house? We're at this place. So what's interesting is when we do get a word that's spelled out directly on that little Ouija board device, I am like super excited, even though it's 3 letters. He had the word fix on there. They heard the phrase this place. They were asking what happened to the mansion. Fix this place. You guys are going to see.
I asked the question if they wondered what happened with their family homes when the question died.
Oh, they know.
So,
Because we get the answers all the time. So we did get the the term husband twice over here, so I don't know if Charles was here. This is the fun thing, is we have things in real time, which is super cool, but we don't know what I'm going to find when I get back to the office. You're getting my point. The ladies over here did ask what kind of plants Eliza was growing over here. They heard the word rose that came out of it. Somebody poked the bear and asked about the children, and they asked if Eliza had children, and the number 4 showed up on KRISTA hormones.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we had 2 groups asking about the kids, and the number 4 showed up. So let's go over all these answers and show you how this all ties together. Yeah, that's just part of the aesthetics.
Okay.
And remember that thing's like meant to like try to scare you, and think of it as a college drinking game.
Got it.
Not task.
Really wanted us to know it's thin.
I know, right? So this is Eliza
Yeah.
Lucas Pinckney. Maiden name being Lucas. The first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinckney. So Lamb and Lucas are the 2 L names that we are looking for. This Eliza, the one I'm showing you the picture of, married Charles at the age of 22. Charles was 45. The reason I say that that's a creepy age gap is because I'm close to Chuck's age. My oldest daughter is Eliza's age. You can see that it's a creepy age gap then and now. I've seen that young person. You can hide them all you want. Now, with that said, because some of you had questions about the mansion, this is the only picture of the mansion that I know of that exists. This is fire damage from the Great Fire of 1861. In the events that we get the terms like fire, burning, blaze, we will often, like I said, get 2 or 3 numbers of the date. This happened on December 11th of 1861. So 12, 11, 61. You can imagine my excitement when one of you hears the word fire and then we get the number 61. It happens sometimes I get all 3 numbers. If we do get something, it's normally at least 2 of those. So kind of take that for what it's worth. I'm very excited about that. We didn't get anything particular tonight, but you get my point. Every tour in town is going to tell you about a great fire because we've had dozens of them. This is a map of Charleston. Obviously the orange is the fire. It went from one side of the coast all the way to the other. This is a giant fire. This is about $5 to $9 million worth of damage back in 1861. Don't ask me what it means now because inflation changed it again this morning. So the children, I usually tell you guys to not poke the bear, but I think we're getting late enough in the year where it's okay. Normally in the summertime, I don't even hand out those questions, and I didn't do that tonight. Still, just because of that habit, but you guys started poking the bear anyway. So let's kind of get into that of why I tell you not to poke the bear with the kids. First off, you already now know that there were 4 children. The first one you already know about, signer of the Constitution, Charles. The next one I bring up is Thomas. He fought in a Revolutionary War battle, was captured by the British, and shot in his left leg. These are all things that I learned from what you guys are doing right now. These are the things that will pop up on a regular basis in the event that we have Thomas here. The next one is why we don't poke the bear. June of 1747, baby George was born and died. His death certificate only says June of 1747 in both the birth and death columns. We don't know if he was days old or if he was weeks old. So my guess is it's 1747. They wouldn't name a child back then unless they were christened. I'm going to guess he's at least 2 weeks old. So kind of take that for what it is. The other crazy thing about George, he does not have a headstone, he does not have a grave. I have a theory. There's a great possibility that the church may have allowed the family to mummify this baby and keep him right here in the home in a tomb, waiting for the mother to pass away, so that way he can be buried with mom, Miss Eliza. It's going to get more weird when we talk about Eliza's death, but that's why we don't normally poke the bear with the children in the summertime, because it's June and it's too close. So, the last child, Harriet, the only daughter. She marries Daniel Ory. Why is that important? If you're not familiar with our coast, Myrtle Beach is Ory County. That kind of gives you an idea of where she lived. It's about 2.5 hours north of here. There's no cars in the 1700s. Wouldn't have been a 2.5 hour car ride. Lots of letter writing. If we hear from Harriet, which I still haven't even heard from her yet this year, I normally hear from her once or twice, we'll get terms like quill, ink, paper, published. Getting my point. Eliza's death. She was 70 years old when she passed away. First off, for the younger people in the group, that's a long time for a woman to be alive in the 1700s. She was going to Philadelphia, getting treatments, whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what that was in 1793, in the year that she died. We're going based off her medical records now, and I do believe you have the word medical on your word list. It's kind of vague, and I'm not going to take it as evidence, I'm just pointing it out. But anyway, so she died in Philly, she's buried in Philly. That should raise 2 questions in the back of your brain. First thing is, if she's up in Philadelphia, why the hell did I drag Chris all the way to an empty parking lot? None of you are going to hang out near a cemetery when you're gone. I don't take you guys to actual cemeteries. Nobody stares at their headstone long enough to have intelligent paranormal evidence. You're going to go to your mansions 400 miles away, which is exactly why you're standing here.
Return to the family ground.
It's wherever the high emotion is, which is exactly, this is where this woman raised her family. The second question, baby George. If my theory is true, they would have transported his tomb from here all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. That's a long ride. Most of you look old enough to remember the game Oregon Trail. Somebody's going to get dysentery on that trip. Like, it's a long trek. So some of you chuckled, some of you didn't. Like, the girls are like, what the hell's Oregon Trail? But anyway, who wants to take a guess who the president was that was the pallbearer at the funeral? 1793. Come on, where's my history buffs? No, I love that you can't answer. We have the answer, you guys just don't even know it. George Washington.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it.
Now, we did hear the name Mason, did we not? So, somebody was asking about the president, and George Washington is 4 syllables. That could be very hard to get out of a spirit box. Mason is only 2 syllables. George Washington was one of the original Freemasons. So, getting my point. Now, I'm also excited that you guys couldn't answer because when we came over here, I told you I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse? I do that on purpose. I subliminally put George Washington in the back of all of your brains. Notice I gave you all of the answers besides that one. I gave you one more chance to screw it up, and you all passed with a fail. Good job. So I do look for that on purpose. So if it's somebody with a spirit box that tells me George Washington when I'm doing the round robin, I take that spirit box and give it to somebody else because I don't want somebody just repeating all the same shit I've already said. You guys getting my point on that? But at his own request, he wanted to pay homage to Eliza based on the indigo that helped get this country started. It was a very big deal to him. So where we're going next, we are going to an alleyway. So kind of explain this one a little bit before we leave the space. We could have gotten Big John things over here and Pinckney Mansion stuff 1 block away. It's close enough in proximity, even though both ghosts are from 2 different centuries. So again, we're going to a place where I'm going to expect bleed over. The reason why is because it's an alley and other tours are probably going to be in there. We're going to go in there and stir some shit up, and then we're going to go across the street, and you guys are going to get answers from both pieces of history. Now, along the way, video cameras, you're not going to record, so go ahead and hit your stop button on yours. You might want to hold it exactly as you were with that top handle. Perfect. So, if other tours come through here, they usually come through to that ivy wall, or they'll come in basically the same way we just did. So I'll explain more about this space as we kind of go through this whole piece of history, but we're going to let this couple pass through before I continue. Come on through, guys.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, we didn't bring a spotlight. We put it on you. So this is called Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur from the city of Charleston. So every ghost tour comes down here, and I'll be honest with you, this is when I'm retiring after this year. So after this month, I will not be coming down here as much. So come on through, guys. Every year I change this up. I take out one space and add a new one because I do get a lot of repeat ghost hunters, and they don't want to see the exact same spaces every time, even though the evidence is different every single time. And since every ghost tour comes down here, I figured this one's about due. I'll be honest, the Pinckney Mansion sleeve was supposed to be retired this year because I was getting very disrespectful people out of some of my groups. So, hi guys. So I just kind of gave it a break as I looked into other spaces, which is our last space for this route that we have now. But this one, I'm not going to be doing it after this month because in November, right after Halloween, I start looking into the new space. So the new space is going to be a murder mystery that has never been solved in Charleston. So for those of you that revisit every year, hopefully I'll be able to make that connection and find out where we're going to make that connection with her. So anyway, back to why we're here. Duelers Alley. Here's how it goes. I'm going to be giving you different details just because you're not on a campfire marshmallow type of ghost story. So the doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. For those of you with communication devices, if you get the song Brown Eyed Girl, it is not coincidence. We get it here all the time because it's part of the doctor's name. So, let these folks pass through. Oh, you're good. You're good. Excuse us. ALISTAIR, I need you looking for the letters R-I in that specific order, mainly for Rhode Island, and it's going to make more sense here in just a minute. But anyway, the doctor moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She's an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow she just got, and the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. Oh, sorry, lady. So, Dr. Ladd is going to move down here to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money, and on his way into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to his stay in Charleston. So somebody was walking by. His name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a second. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, R.I. So on our regular spirit boxes, we were getting the letters R.I. all the time. So that's exactly why I bought the device that ALISTAIR is using. I wanted that R.I. specifically to make sure I wasn't mishearing it. So we've had it probably about half a dozen times in the past 8 months. So take that for what it's worth as I bring up Ralph. So it's mainly related to him. Back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. He's got a gunman inside. Come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can rent a room there, and you'll be safe and good to go. Doctor took him up on the offer. The two became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this. She's moving down so they can get married. And Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. That's another reason why I'm taking this one out. Ours just happens to be a doctor. So let's move forward. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. So on the way home, after seeing Richard III, they're walking and they're arguing over the new actress they just saw. The doctor thought she was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turns into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiance back home in Rhode Island. Excuse us. Sorry. We're good. Now, with all of that said, they really get into it and they go their separate ways. And I already told you that Ralph has friends around town. He goes to his friends at the newspaper and he basically places an ad telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a you're a disgrace to society kind of thing. Doctor saw the ad but rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Somebody's going to die. Keep in mind that this argument started over an actress. Kind of silly, right? So they came down, they took their 10 paces away from each other, they turned, the doctor points his gun in the air and shoots. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage to show up to the fight. However, Ralph has his one bullet. Does anybody want to guess what part of the body Ralph put his bullet in?
Either his gut or his chest.
Nope.
Head?
Nope, it was in his kneecap. So, with that, the doctor did not die. He falls to the ground, and Ralph proved his point that he's still pissed off and not willing to forgive. His friends carried him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment on November 2nd of 1786. I'll point out two things. It's 1786. Gunshot wounds were a lot different back then. The man's also a doctor. That's why he refused the medical treatment. He probably thought he just had, lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself. So we get a lot of crazy terms down here, but every ghost tour that comes down here will tell you, listen for the whistles while you're here. It's always this quiet, by the way. It is a Friday night, and the market is only, a block and a half away from here? We should hear the market, but we don't. On a busy Saturday afternoon, it's just like this. So if you're going to try this on your own and take your voice recorders from your phones and walk all the way through here and listen for those whistles later on, just keep in mind every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single morning. When I'm done with your guys' data, I'm walking back to my garage at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I always throw a whistle down here. Ever since I got kicked out. Let's talk about that. That sounds like a good time, right? There's a reason why we're not all the way down there. This will also show you how much research I put into these histories that I give you. The alley did not go all the way through this way. There was a wall up there. The reason why is because they had to block in all the livestock. This used to be called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley. So imagine a bunch of cows and chickens down here. What does that mean for you guys? Those bricks on that end are older than the ones we're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, along with fingerprint swipes and others. I used to take my groups all the way through, just to show off that piece of history, to show how far we've come from slavery. No matter the diversity of my groups, we all need to see it. However, I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not there. That's the last place you're going to find him. November 26th, 2020. My entire group of 10, same size as you guys, is huddled around one brick, waiting for something to happen with the gear I handed out. I'm trying to shoo them along because I know nothing's going to happen. Secondly, it's outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm trying to be respectful, not realizing I was out of bounds for tours. I was new at this. I didn't know what the hell I was doing yet. But anyway, so the new owner of that mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night and her dad's getting yelled at. So it was fantastic, hilarious for her. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked for the largest retailer in upper management for a good part of 20 years. So take that for what it's worth. I was the guy who had to break up the fights with the towels. So kind of put that in perspective. I don't do Thanksgiving. The next day, November 28th, the date's irrelevant, Chris, don't worry, I'm getting to it. I kind of see I'm looking all the way down at the end of the alley. So the 28th, I called my partner that I had at the time, and I told him what happened. He laughed at me, just like my daughter, and he said, you're only allowed to go down halfway, or reroute the group. So I decided I'm going to reroute the group. What I told them, I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. We're going to be discussing pirates next, in case you haven't picked up on that. So somebody on a spirit box, here's the name Anne. I didn't tell them which pirate we're going to be looking into, the famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. Just kind of like, okay, maybe we got something. I get around the corner, told them what I did know about pirates, which wasn't much. Somebody else with a spirit box, here's the number 300. I don't know what it means, I write it down. I'm doing the research for them back at the office. We were there November 28th of 2020, Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. The exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. I see a lot of smug faces like, yeah, that's some cool stuff. I was pissed, let me tell you why. Especially when I'm doing this, I have a master's degree in creative writing. I like facts and data. Pirate stories come from pirate lore that were written 100 years after the fact that these events actually are happening. You two laugh because it sounds like you guys know. So, this was not something I was looking to dive into, and I've had to read more books on pirates trying to debunk what we're about to find at the next location more than anything. It is a 50-50 shot roll of the dice if Anne's going to be there at the same time we are, but that's, as is such with all paranormal areas. Hopefully we're going to get bleed over from this location as well. Before we leave, the gate. I know I talk a lot at this space, but I'm taking advantage that there's nobody else talking over me at this point. The gate. Remember I told you the alley didn't go all the way through this way. So if there was a loser to the duel down here, this was the shortcut to get to the cemetery right behind me on the other side of the wall. So I call it the death gate. Otherwise, they'd have to take their dead body and go all the way down to Queen Street and then double back. It was kind of like a double standard before they can go, celebrate the winner with a pint. So anything that was heard, I hear a lot of like crunching in your guys' ears. Do you guys see anything on our word list? Anything on the, what do we have going on before we leave the space?
I haven't heard anything yet, but I was going to ask if this was all original cobblestone or was it originally just all brick? And
It's
then,
always been brick.
okay,
to my
I
knowledge,
was
it's always
noticing
been
the cobblestone along
Those are just
parts of
fillers because
it.
it broke off. So they just fill it in to kind of give it that Charleston-y look. You're going to see, I debunk a lot of things about the Charleston look. Chris, they look like you were about to tell me something?
I've had Sebastian when we first got here.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
Just a second ago, got Nona on stairs, across, and punt.
Yeah, a whole lot of nothing.
And then grandparent annually. I don't know.
Yeah.
Problem.
Nothing. Girls, anything out of you? I know, I talk a lot at this space, so I figured the younger people are going to be listening to the spirit box versus me. Ladies, anything out of yours? And you were on mute. So as we go up and around the corner, feel free to unmute. We're going to go up and we're going to, obviously I'll give you the history of Anne Bonny. And then we're going to explore the space the same way we did the Pinckney Mansion site. Any readings out of you, Chris, at all?
No, it's been steady.
Okay. Yeah. If it's a steady, then it's coming from the light.
Yep.
So, perfect.
I just had briefly my brother, if that means anything.
I don't know. I'm going to write it down, though, for sure. All right, let's go learn about some rated R pirates. Let's see if we can do this. Nobody got my dad joke? The rated R pirate? Come on. My daughter, when she's on tour, punches me every time I do that.
Well, she's the queen of dad jokes.
What did it say? 7.
Didn't really hear anything.
Really?
It said good night.
Anything else feel a little bit of rain?
Yeah.
Check. In the event that it starts raining while we're at this location, we'll obviously go across the street to the garage. So the only thing will ask, because I know that none of you are going to melt. out, just protect the gear. You guys got the point, right? Perfect. So by the way, the next location is going to be a lot different than what we've been doing. The next location is our last stop. So we're going to be doing the Estes method. Is anybody familiar with that?
I'm vaguely familiar with it somewhat.
So 2 people. One person will be blindfolded and have noise canceling headphones on and a spirit box, and they will be our ghost. They're not going to know the history of the space, but the rest of y'all will. So I'll be talking to them as if they're the ghost, and they will be telling me whatever they hear coming out of their spirit box, and it should look like a conversation. So basically, it's about 30 to 35% accurate. But there's a secondary piece to this, where there is a secondary person wearing a VR cam, and it's going to have my phone in there and use EMF the same way KRISTA's device are, and it's going to create AI imagery that has never been seen before. The cool thing about that is that it might actually match up with what is being said from the person under the blindfold. So that is about 40 to 45% accurate to that space. Those 2 people will sit on a bench while I teach the other 8 people the history, and then we will come back and they're not going to know anything. We're going to see how this actually works out. And Jill's looking at me like, oh my God, this is terrifying. So again, it is super cool, and it could be super funny because the person that is blindfolded doesn't know the history. So we might just get a bunch of silly answers out of them. Like, what color is a banana? They might say blue. You know, those kind of things. But at the same time, we never know how that conversation is going to look. It is a lot of fun, and even on our end as spectators. So I'll go over that as when we get up to that next space. I usually bring that up now because if somebody wants to volunteer for that already has been listening to a spirit box. So ALISTAIR, I already kind of had you pegged for the VR bit since your device hasn't been super active tonight. I thought you might want to have some fun with the AI imagery and see how that pops up. You 2 can fight over who's going to be blindfolded.
I was first.
And then Mom can be the referee, apparently. So, all
You
right.
can fight over it, yeah.
Every tour comes here as well, but we're going to be looking at that little tiny building in a much different light. That is the gunpowder magazine. That held gunpowder for 7 different wars and 1 rebellion. Those are not crosses on the building. Those are earthquake bolts. Part of the reason why we're here, let me explain. Earthquake bolts, if you don't know what they are, they're basically turnbuckles. You can tighten them if we have another earthquake, and it's supposed to tighten up the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. You guys have seen them all over town and part of the Charleston charm with the lion heads and pineapples and all that stuff all over. That is the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. They were put in because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here simply because that building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start a new life. This is what I call a familiar. It seems like a lot of you watch those ghost hunting TV shows. They've used the Boo Buddy on most of them. The Boo Buddy is a teddy bear with basically an EMF blinky light one inside of it. So in case a child ghost gets near it, then we actually have some activity. The reason they use the Boo Buddy is because they want the child to recognize that as a toy. Same principle. We don't have many buildings this old in Charleston, so the hope is that she's going to be here at the same time we are because she recognizes it from her own era. You guys getting the point of why we're here? Perfect. Let's get into the history. The building took 10 years to build. For those of you that love government jokes, does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? So, 1708. Try to follow me. There's a lot of twists in this story. I will slow down on them, but there's a lot here, so I will talk fast. 1708, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? The 3 of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed was the wife as she booted him out of the country? So gents that are here with your ladies, treat your ladies right. They'll kick you all the way up to Canada. Now, back to Anne. They land in Georgetown. Dad bought a plantation up there. That's between us and Myrtle Beach, by the way. If you're not familiar with the coast. And Mom dies pretty quickly after getting here. So that means Dad is now sending young Anne down here to sell things from that plantation to keep things afloat up there. Getting the point. Familiar building. Now, Anne back home in Ireland is said to be a badass even when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old in Ireland. They say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. Can't tell you how many times we've had servant, knife, and belly show up out of 3 different communication devices, and these 3 people have no idea what's going on from the other 2 people.
I'll leave the dog, and I did just have "You Are With God" briefly come through. while
We're
you
near
were
the
talking.
biggest church that we have, so I expect all those religious phrases. Back to Anne. Fast forward, the building's done in 1713. By 1715, pirates are starting to come through Charlestown. Anne is stoked. The reason why is because she's going to fall in love so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world. First guy she falls in love with, and I said first because there's a handful, and that's what makes the story so damn interesting, so we're going to go through them all. First guy is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going because we've mentioned her pirate name already. So, Dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married. And Cormac is now Anne Bonny. That's where the pirate name comes from. However, when she gets down to Jamaica and she's married, she realizes her new husband is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer, which makes him a spy for the British. He's a coward. This isn't who she wants. She falls in love again. Guy number 2. This is John Rackham, but everybody calls him Calico Jack. This is the same guy that they based your Johnny Depp character off of, by the way, in case you're wondering who this guy actually is. Jack has his own ship, he has his own crew, and wants to be part of the crew. Can't put a female on a pirate crew. Does anybody know why? And keep it family friendly. We have teenage years here. Going once, twice, it's bad luck. I seen all those wheel spinning adults. But anyway, it's bad luck. So Jack makes a deal with Anne. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew, you can be part of the crew. Anne's okay with this. Why? First off, she wants to be a pirate, but Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. She gets it. It's a man's world. But all of the adults in the room, let's put 2 and 2 together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out she's a girl. So Jack drops her off in Cuba, have the baby here, come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has that baby, but returns without a baby. We have no idea what happened to that child, by the way. None of the books or research I've ever done has ever discovered it. But she comes back dressed as a female. This makes Jack pretty angry. Now everybody's going to know he let a girl on the ship. So to make him even more mad, she's going to go flirting with the pirate crew that's down below deck. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females, dressed like males, on the same ship. Her name, Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure because of the time period. And it's pirate lore, correct? Now, the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to come take down one measly pirate ship. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with 1 bullet flintlocks. Obviously, they're not going to be able to take on a whole fleet of ships. They don't know how to use cannons yet, by the way, because they haven't been pirates for very long. They get arrested. As they're being arrested, Anne looks at her beau and captain, Calico Jack, and she says, "I'm sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up in communication devices all the time. The judge wants to see the 2 quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. They're dead and gone. The 2 ladies go in front and they reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. The judge does not give a shit that they are female. They are pirates, and he's gonna hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they shouted to him, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne and brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're gonna count Mary. We don't really know because of the time frame. But she has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending, because we don't really know much about her after her pirate career. I'm even speculating on what I just told you. Some stories say she went up to Virginia, some say she stayed here. We don't even know what the hell her name was. So whatever she changed it to, could be anything. Mary Reed dies 5 months later in a Jamaican jail from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Use your imagination. Most folks will tell you that it was fever. I'm going to call bullshit on that one and say let's make it romantic and call it scurvy. Why the hell not? We're talking about pirates. Here's what I left out of the story. I'm not going to assign questions here. This is also a place where you can kind of kick Anne in the shins to get those answers. This is not a prominent English woman where you have to tiptoe around and I have to give you the specific questions of what to ask. Here's what I did leave out though, just so you have something to start off with. The names of her parents. I called them the father and the mistress. I did not give you names. Find out what their names are. The name of Calico Jack's ship. I didn't tell you what that was either. The city where Anne grew up in Ireland. That's been coming up more and more. And the color of her hair. Everything else is fair game here. So Chris, the only thing with yours, the closer you get that way to electrical poles, parking meters on the other side. The more excited back here, just so you know. And then Lydia, with your camera, the ivy wall is not your friend. All the leaves are in front of each other. It's going to make it look like a bunch of people dancing on the wall. So again, you're going to do everywhere but this wall. Everywhere else is kind of slow motion. Your camera loves to mess up in here. It's happened at least half a dozen times in 4 years. That's enough for me to say it's the location, not the camera. So just let me know if you see anything weird. Definitely get unmuted. Stay out of the way of the other tours. The last car already left. The space is ours. Let's get to work. Alistair, you got anything going on there?
No.
I do want to see your word list. I just want to see it because you've been reading off a lot.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it doesn't.
Okay.
You won't be able to see all
was
the words
rich.
because it's still
I don't
generating.
think I'll know
You
a
won't
lot
add it in real time. You have to go back to that.
What was your dad's name?
Whoa.
It's the house, because the house is in front of another house.
This is so boring.
What was your hair color?
was another question?
Parents' name of Calico Jack ship, and hair color.
There's another one.
Hair color.
It was really interesting though.
What did you die from? Got Jamaican jail.
What color was your hair? I heard Jamaican. What color was your hair? What was Calico Jack's ship's name? The Cobweb?
Nah.
Look at my son. That's the word I'm looking for.
You can have it back.
What color was your hair, bud? What color was your hair?
I'm gonna ask you one more time.
What color was your hair?
Yeah, what happened to that child you abandoned?
Yeah, what did you do with that child?
Complaining.
Yeah, I was complaining actually. What happened to that child that you had when like it was gone?
What was your hair color?
What was your hair color? Pencil? That's not hair color.
What was your mom's name?
You were so smart. What color was your hair, bud?
Red?
Red. Thank you. I was actually thinking of red, yeah. I was like, what's your hair is red? Because she's like, I don't. I'm checking it out. I'm just gonna ask you.
You're getting quite a term at this point. We're talking about pirates. What do you got, girls?
You got
We
that
asked
hair
her what
was
her
red.
hair color was and she said red.
That would be correct.
I'm pretty angry though.
Doesn't matter. Gave you the.
Okay, what was the name of Calico Jack's ship? She told us her hair color after like 10 asks.
I asked her where Kent went though.
We asked her that too, but we thought
And I asked her where she went after.
Not really an answer, bud.
Right?
What was Calico? What was Calico Jack's ship's name?
Don't yell at her.
Sorry, but she doesn't answer.
Well, she could be answering somebody else.
Oh. Sorry. What was his name? Ship's name again?
what was the name of the first guy he fell in love with?
Alright.
Yeah.
What year?
We asked her what color her hair was and it said red. And that was right.
To be honest, I couldn't
Like,
follow her.
was it? What was the song?
It just said red.
Oh,
Yeah, I just hit red and then it stopped. What was Calico Jack's ships?
Yeah, I'm trying to crack my wrist.
She doesn't like to answer.
Okay, I'll look up what it is.
What was Calico Jack's ship's name? Are you dumb? Did you just ask if you were dumb?
Yes.
How rude. That's so rude.
Where were you born? What was the city? Oh yeah, it was, what city were you born in?
What city were you born in? What city were you born in? What city were you born in?
Do you want to trade?
Sure, we can definitely trade because she's like mean.
She just yelled cork at
Whoa,
us.
this is heavy.
Yeah.
I'll hold it.
No, you can hold this thing. Okay.
What
What
city
was the
were you
name
born
of the city that you were born in?
When did your dad die? What happened to Calico Jack?
Any other words on yours, Krista?
I gave it to Lydia so I could play with this. That's my shadow. You know what's fun is that it can pick up your shadow. Yeah. Like my shadow was over there. Like right there. Watch.
Syllables there, the sound is there, but it's not like I'm gonna count it. capturing anything on there.
No, just my shadow.
Yeah, your shadow's an absence of light.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna make it look like a person's on the ground.
Yeah.
We have had some interaction on here. So if I see something on there and I'm not sure what it is in real time, I'm like, hey, and if that's you, can you raise your right hand? And we've had interactions like that before.
That's wild.
Yeah. So really good stuff when it does occur. But for the most part, with this particular, because it's so portable and it's a different technology from the bigger chunky monkey ones.
Yeah.
It took a lot of learning curve of like, how sensitive do we need to make this? So it was a lot of like, let's crank it up and work our way down. So it probably took me like, I don't know, 30 investigations to figure out like we have too much, and still keep taking it down to
Yeah.
the point now where you're mainly picking up just people.
Yeah.
I just briefly got part of the lyrics from Guns N' Roses' Sweet Child of Mine. Sweet Child of Mine was the part that came through.
Okay.
I was asking her about her kid in Cuba earlier.
Everybody's been asking about that kid in Cuba.
She said you joined the army
That's
what she told me.
Yeah, I saw that back there.
in March, apparently. Or maybe he marches in the army.
That was the other piece, but the March piece could be something else. Like I was telling some of the other folks, there's like 15 stories here. This
Right.
is where things can go astray, where we're getting other clues. Like she also has the word uncle on there, so I'm waiting to see if there's a secondary clue to verify, like, because there is an uncle around here, and it
Yeah.
makes sense of why we would call him uncle. Also, March isn't like March in the army; it's March is in the month.
Right.
So if something else comes up with that, we normally only hear from this person in the month of March because he was born in March and died in March, and he is nearby.
Oh.
So that whole piece of history does come up, but I'm waiting for what his name might be or something else specific to him.
Gotcha.
So maybe I already have it.
Dude, since the smell encounters count any, because I just all of a sudden walking around right there, got the strong smell, you know, that rubbing alcohol vodka smell when you open a fresh bottle of vodka. I mean,
Not
I
a
know
vodka
vodka
drinker,
and
but
rum was
I'm a rum.
pretty popular back in.
And again, personal accounts like that, like touches, smells, unless I have a scratch to verify, and we got it on camera, is the only time I'm ever going to count it.
Yeah,
That stuff.
that's understandable.
So again, this stuff that I'm writing down has to go to the whole group, and it has to be provable to them.
Makes sense.
So I can't prove your
Yeah.
smelling abilities. So how big of a skeptic is Chris?
Oh.
He's having a good time. I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because when I designed this, it was for you guys,
Yeah.
and then obviously for somebody like Chris to at least enjoy the history, see
Absolutely.
what's going on. Now his devices are going to be dead in here, so unless we have a spike of 2.5,
okay.
like I actually get excited about 2.5. Uh-oh, lady's
So
got
we asked,
something.
what'd you say, who's the father of your baby?
Yes.
He said, needle in the haystack.
Needle in the haystack.
But she has no idea.
She has no idea, exactly. And
no,
every
it's very
time we
clear.
mention the baby, we hear Cupid music. Every single time. That's crazy.
That was very good.
That was, yeah, that was really clear.
So the baby was born.
Find anything? Oh my gosh, be still. There's something on your shoulder.
I want to know about
Just kidding.
the other female pirate. What was her name?
Your little word boxes are very popular. Usually that thing was going off like crazy.
Yeah. Were you two lovers? Back here.
She's full on having a conversation with them.
Was she your pre-love?
Let's see if she's over there with them.
You gotta let Jack know.
All right, guys, let's see what we got here. Let's get everybody to the wall.
What we got coming?
Exactly.
We asked if they were lovers, the two female pirates.
She's mad.
Still a yes, no. I'm ready to
Probably. I kept asking her the same question.
Again, I hate yes, no questions.
I
but-
know.
And when you guys go back and watch your TV shows, you're going to laugh your asses off because that's all they do. Are you here? Can you tell us your name? It's still a yes/no question if you really think about it.
So how do you feel about when they ask them to like knock something over or kick something?
Well,
Or
that's a whole different ballgame. Like, get what you asked for. So we're gonna cover the answers. Did you guys fight over who's gonna go blindfolded?
No, I am.
Who's gonna be the tiebreaker of like what's going on here?
I'm your child. I am your flesh
This
and
is
blood.
like your dream, so I will let you do it.
What do you have?
Are you okay with that?
Take that.
Not okay with that.
Don't know. I'm gonna write it down. You've given us 2 words so far tonight, and both of them had an X in it.
Anything good?
That's kind of weird. Yeah, think about that.
My lecture dinner. Which expert?
All right, so let's kind of cover the answers. If you have a camera, by all means, give your hands a break. Go ahead and hit that stop button. So, yeah, I know you've been working. To the battlefield to fight for the Confederate side, and his comrades realized he was too sick to fight. So they said, go home and be the voice of the war. They wanted him to write about what was going on out there. So he started writing poetry and became known as the Laureate of the Confederacy. Pretty prestigious title.
You should record.
You're gonna start talking.
Sure, your turn.
We're gonna like get in nice and tight here, guys. Like we're pretty loosey goosey, so. And definitely get all of this on film, and that would be all cameras. But the best one is gonna be Alex's. You're gonna tell us everything. Picture is gonna show up just like that, and it's a keyboard in multiple colors. Just so you guys know what this is. Oh, it's not a keyboard. There are 2 men in there, 2 old men with mustaches. So your focus. Okay, we all good to go on your end? Alright, come on, you figure those out? Maybe. We don't want you to hear it. One of us has to help. Yes. That's 11:02. Henry Timrod. If you're here, push through. This is Caroline. She can hear whatever you want us to hear. And this is ALISTAIR. You can see whatever you want us to see. So far we have the word Rick. Can you tell me something about your occupation? We're going to start off nice and slow.
Across the country.
Can you tell us something about your occupation?
Face yourself.
Oh, I'm getting really good at this. Should we talk right now? Notice she stopped talking. I'm going to start asking you guys. Henry. Henry, can you push through?
I see paper bags.
Paper bags or the other bags? Henry? Henry, I know October is kind of a hard month for you, but your son died this month. It's also been 10 years of the anniversary of your death. But if you want to push through and talk about your work, we can do that. Can you tell us about your work? What it is you did for an occupation? You can also give us those images. We're not leaving. Is somebody else here with you?
I see the sun. I see the sun and clouds. The sky.
Cloud low.
You want to talk about your son? That's a yes and a question. Alright. You want to talk about your son?
Different than it was.
Everyone's different. Never too big. And we got the son and daughter's different. Just don't tell us what they are.
Alright.
Alright, let's be more specific. Can you tell me something about your occupation first? To verify.
Mountain. Close.
I see.
Turn your
Black walls
does it ever.
that stretch out for miles, a gray sky, and a lot of ghostly people.
So much.
No, it looks like something out of the sci-fi movie.
Right?
Henry, I've asked you a lot of questions so far already, and I don't want to keep going with just random questions.
Okay.
Let's talk about your son or your occupation. Let's choose one of those two topics. You want to talk about your wife?
But never planned. Captain Herbert Wilkie.
Okay. You getting any words on that list at all?
Fail.
Calmer. Relax. Interesting.
So no direct answers to what I've been asking. Henry. Simple answer of what you did for work. What was your occupation? You guys listening back there, or are you just listening to your spirit box?
I don't have any.
Can you tell me if your occupation made you rich or poor? About 5 minutes, just so everybody knows. Henry, can you tell us if your occupation made you rich or poor?
As of now.
Keeps moving her jaw around. Is that something normal she does when she's nervous?
She's got playing with her retainers.
Hmm. frontless, with very weird character. Henry, we're gonna call it quits and nice and early. We'll leave you alone. Do you want us to leave? Henry, that's asked you a lot of questions.
Right now, the moment.
Very vague stuff. You guys see what that's like? I'm like, we got nothing going on here.
More excited.
It's I see green.
No.
And it's all kind of blurry. It's like a garden. And there's dirt around it.
Plastic.
Nobody hearing anything on the spirit box this week? And I'm gonna tell you you're been muted.
I've heard the former commander a few minutes ago.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and tap her out. I think we're about done here. We got a whole lot of nothing.
Did you get any extra?
I don't know.
Yep, we're wrapping it up.
I got like
It's just been 3 people so far. Just the
there's
regular.
like something
yeah.
by her leg they kept picking up. I don't know if it's like the shadow. It was kind of spooky.
You never know, may get lucky here at the end of the night.
Yeah.
And I would, while we're walking around, go film around the
All right, so here's the images that we have going on here. Jill, you okay? Yep. Filling yourself up? So this is what was going on when we first put it on his head. I saw this one coming through. It said 2 men with mustaches. I will tell you that I told you guys about his friend, where he got the cottage from, also had a very distinctive mustache.